Want to know the simplest trick for perfectly registered gel print layers? I'll show you how. And we're making a custom Tyvek stencil, hand cut. Let's try it out. Welcome back, friends. Today I thought we would do a little bit of an abstract layering so that the end result is a composition, abstract composition. I won't say it was totally successful, but I got some amazing bonus papers, so that's really all I care about. So you're going to see me start out with a Tyvek stencil. So I just like kind of freeformed some shapes on it and cut it out with my X-Acto. And you know, Tyvek paper is that stuff that's like really like indestructible. You can't tear it. You can only cut it, you know, with scissors or a blade. And it's really great for gel printing because then it also gets all covered in paint and looks fantastic. Like some of those are my favorite papers to add to collages, like as a focal point. I never did one where it was, I usually just like cut out small masks and arrange them on a plate and that kind of thing. But this I actually made like a stencil. So that was something different that I hadn't done before. And I would suggest you try that. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so then, you know, I just started like overlaying it and incorporating some texture with my cardboard. And I got one fairly decent print in the end that the more I look at it, the more I like it. Let's stop talking and let's get started. Okay, so here I am cutting a stencil, and I'm cutting it out of Tyvek paper. And what Tyvek paper is fabulous paper. They use them for shipping envelopes. They actually wrap houses with this. It's a waterproof, sturdy paper that you cannot tear. You cannot tear it with your hands. You have to either cut it with a knife or with scissors. And it makes great stencil material. So one of the things that I really love about Tyvek paper on the gel plate is it leaves this beautiful ghost that's just an outline. And the reason why you only get an outline is because the paper picked up most of the paint. So unlike, you know, a Mylar stencil that leaves a lot of paint still on the plate, this actually pulls the paint onto the Tyvek paper. So I like to see it as my stencil or mask actually can become a part of a future collage as the paper itself. So not only am I using it as a stencil or a mask, but I also can use it in collage because they always come out beautiful. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And this was just a random design. I wasn't like trying to do anything too perfect. I wasn't even perfectly cutting it. It doesn't have to be exact. And I wasn't sure I was going to like those 4 finger-like things, but they came out really nice. So I was very happy with it. Okay, so I'm going to be using golden paint today. I haven't used them in a while, so I thought I would. Green Gold and Titan Green Pale were 2 that I really wanted to use today, and also the Iridescent Bronze. I don't know why I keep trying to use Iridescent Bronze. I love it. It's a beautiful paint. When you squirt it onto the plate, it's gorgeous, but I'm never happy with the papers. So I'm also thinking of maybe adding some Payne's Gray. So that's what those 2 that I was just showing you were. I don't have any golden Payne's Gray at this time. One of the reasons why I do like it is its transparency. So I'm going to use this sketch paper by Yasutomo, and I'm going to actually register it to the plate. So what that means is we're going to position it, we're going to tape it down on the left hand side, and each time I lay it down it's going to be on the plate in exactly the same place. And what that's going to allow us to do is register each layer with the previous layer so that we're not like off by 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. You may have seen me do this before. And so what is registration? Where did that come from? It's like an old printing term. So when they do offset printing, like when they're printing a magazine or a brochure, there's usually some registration marks that they line things up with, and that's how they know that each color is being laid down correctly. So I'm starting out with just a background of green gold. It is such a beautiful color, and I have not found an equivalent in another brand. Now, my Tyvek paper was 8.5 by 11, and my plate is only an 8 by 10, so it's not going to fit exactly. I should have probably used my 9 by 12 plate, but this one was nice and clean, so I decided to use the 8 by 10. Anyway, I also have, this is primary cyan, the small bottle. I also like manganese blue, but I didn't have any right now. But the primary cyan is a beautiful color. Like, look at that. And I think it's semi-transparent. Manganese blue is a little bit more transparent, and it beads up on the plate a little bit. So that's, I think, why I like that one, because I get some lacing. And I'm going with the flow with this one. I'm trying not to control it too much. With abstract art of any kind, it's better to not plan. It really is. And I love how that brilliant blue color now looks on top of that green. It's gorgeous. Now, see what I mean by the outlines? It's kind of like this little faded outline. And I'm putting down the Titan Green Pale without really waiting for it to dry, because I wanted it to smear a little bit, as you could see. And now I'm just picking that up with a newsprint. I bought these like loose sheets of newsprint to use as brayer sheets. And I also love the way they print. They are not acid-free. I will warn you about that. Not acid-free, but I do love them. They always come out beautiful. So if you're a beginner, newsprint is really a good paper to try. I think it's even cheaper than copy paper. If you buy it in bulk and not in a pad where it's like glued together. Inexpensive, picks up really, really well on the plate. I think you will love it. Now, if you're a serious professional artist and you think your work is going to be relevant 100 years from now, you might not want to use newsprint, because it is not acid-free. But when you're sealing it on, in a collage with all this gel medium and varnish and all that, it might not matter, it might be just fine. So I was using my cardboard as a stencil, texture plate, excuse me, and I'm just overlaying this. That paint that I used was nickel azo gold, which has gone away, quinacridone nickel azo gold. I still had a bottle left. I cannot believe it. And I'm overlaying that very faint ghost on top of the previous one that we did. It's just going to keep adding a little bit more interest to that. Anyway, the thing that I love about the quinacridone nickel azo gold is its transparency as well. And Golden has replaced it with another azo color. I forget exactly what they're calling it, but it's similar. And this is the quinacridone magenta, another gorgeous transparent color. And so far, I probably should have stopped here, because I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I kept going, and that was my mistake. So you will see that sometimes you do that. You just, you do 1 or 2 layers too many, and you kind of mess it up. But I should have done partial layers on that one instead, but I just kept going. So I took another piece of Tyvek paper and I cut strips to make stripes. Not perfect. I didn't get out the X-Acto knife and the ruler. I wanted them to be very organic. And I decided I was going to add that on top of this in this iridescent bronze color that is beautiful. I will say, when I watch other artists use it, I'm always pleased. I'm never pleased with my own. I keep trying because it's such a beautiful color, but like, look at how gorgeous it looks when it's on the plate. So you could see, even those of us that have a lot of experience with gel printing, we don't always get perfect prints. We don't always get everything fantastic, So I overlay this, and that was a mistake. Like I said, I just kept going and kind of ruined this print. I mean, it's not totally ruined, but you'll have to tell me what you think. But yeah, I wasn't happy. The gold also didn't transfer very well for me, and even the Tyvek paper didn't pick it up, so I didn't get a nice ghost either. So that iridescent bronze reacts differently. Anyway, I decided to pick this up with the magenta, quinacridone magenta, and we might get a decent print out of it. It'll always be good for a piece of collage paper. Now, usually with the newsprint, I try not to leave it too long, like maybe a minute. It wasn't even a minute. That was like maybe a half a minute. But it picked up all of the gold, the iridescent bronze, and the ghost that I had there, and it's going to be a great collage paper, and we might add to it later on. So I'm just cleaning up with a baby wipe so that I can have another one that, with a clean plate. Okay, so here I am with the gold again. Excuse me, I keep saying gold. It is iridescent bronze. And it gets worse, see? I didn't want to give up on that bronze. I wanted it to work. I wanted it to add something spectacular to this particular paper, but I just was making it worse. Okay, so we still have all this bronze on the plate, so I decided to pick up with another sheet of paper with some green gold, because I think the iridescent bronze and the green gold are going to look beautiful together. So on the paper on the left, if you're wondering why the colors are so muted, it's because of the transparency of the colors. So that paint is very transparent, so when you overlay a magenta on top of the green gold, you're not going to get that brilliant magenta like you have here. They're very different, as you can see. It's a more of a wine color, but it's beautiful. And the same thing with that really vibrant blue. It looks very almost phthalo blue-green shade after you put it on top of the green gold. So we're going to try another one because I wasn't happy with that one. I want to make sure that I get at least one that I'm thrilled with, even though I'm loving some of these bonus papers. So as I said, I always love the bonus papers, especially from a Tyvek paper session. For some reason, they become like my favorite. So we're registering again, and we're again starting with the green gold, because I loved how it was peeking from behind there, and I loved how it was muting the colors a bit. So with the rice paper, I usually do wait a little bit longer. Now this is sped up like double time, but so figure about a minute and a half. I didn't get the edges, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I am kind of like, I brayered it so that it kind of feathered out, and I'm using a color shaper for some texture. Just some bars. I love how you get that sort of darker color along the edge. Again, nickel azo gold, really transparent. You could see from the brayer sheet how gorgeous that's going to be. Like that alone would have been a perfect collage paper, really. I should make some that just look like that. All right, so back to this cyan, this primary cyan. Again, very transparent. You could see the lines of my table showing through. And again, we got that beautiful color that almost looks like a phthalo blue green shade. Great. Ghost again. But this time I'm just going to do like kind of a rough application of the liquid azo, and I'm going to let that dry. Well, guess I'm not going to let it dry. I think my original intention was I'm going to let that dry. But then I decide, no, let's pick that up with this sheet. But when I wave my hand like that, means I'm telling myself on camera that I'm letting it dry, but I didn't. But I do like the way it looks. We got some interesting smeary stuff going on there. So now I'm just kind of deciding, what am I going to do for another layer? And I decided it needs a little contrast, so I'm going to add a lighter color. So I'm mixing the green gold with the Titan green pale. They're smearing together a little bit, and I'm overlaying this in a different direction and going on top. So I always think in terms of contrast. If I have a lot of dark going on or medium tones and I don't have anything light, then I'll add some light. And I'm playing with some of the other pieces that I have on the table just to see if I want to add them to this composition. So see how much better that is now that we've got a little bit of lightness in there. And now we have this, oh my God. So when I turned the stencil over, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I just absolutely love it. So I'm making note, I'm putting it aside. Do not put that side down. I don't want any more paint on it. I think it would ruin it. But I do want to pick up this ghost. So I'm laying down the nickel azo gold again, and I'm just going to pick up with the newsprint. So the paper off on the left, the only thing that bothered me about it was that lower right hand corner. And obviously that didn't pick up very well. I probably didn't put enough paint down. So the trick here is to just get into the flow and just go with, go in the moment, try not to overthink things. I probably did overthink a little bit too much in this session, but some of the times that I didn't, that I just like reacted, those were the better papers. And as you could see, the Tyvek paper stencil was probably the best thing that happened during this session. the absolute best thing. So I'm letting this dry, obviously, and let's see what happens. So sometimes these really light ghosts, when you overlay them on something like a primary magenta, you get kind of an interesting result. And we also cleaned up some of the edges. So I keep looking at that stencil with the paint to see if I want to overlay it on something. Anyway, I'm going to add something to that lower right hand corner of the paper. So I have to add it to the lower left hand corner of my plate. And I'm just going to add it only in that corner. And I'm going to do something I don't do often. I usually don't push paint through the stencil openings. I usually put it over the plate, lay the stencil down, and pick up through the stencil. I think you get a cleaner result that way. But because I only want it in one little section, this was the easiest way to do it. So I'm using again the primary cyan, and I'm using my small brayer, and I'm trying to just push through these openings. And I might have to do some cleanup with a baby wipe. Now this is the same blue that is that dark layer that's in between. But now it's on top, and for some reason it didn't get muted like the other. It kept its vibrancy. So that was a little bit disappointing because it didn't match that well. But so I decided I'm going to try to line it up. And this time I'm going to put down the quinacridone liquid azo gold, and I'm going to try to go over it. It did mute it a little bit, and it gave me this sort of orangey halo around it, so I wasn't totally unhappy with it. It's very hard to see. So the more I looked at this, the more I liked it. And I decided I'm not going to do anything more to it. I'm very happy with it, actually. Even the little rough edges. I like the rough edges. I don't like anything too perfect. A little grungy. So I decided I'm not going to do another registration, but I do have some of these papers that were sort of cleanup sheets where I was cleaning the plate. I think I'd like to add some layers to it and see if I can improve on these papers at all. Okay, so I'm going to put the, I'm leaving that stencil top side up so that I don't get any more paint on it, but I'm printing this onto the magenta paper. I like what's going on there, especially the left-hand side of that paper. I think I'm just not a glitzy person. I don't like metallics because I'm not ever happy with anything that's metallic. Anyway, this is the Titan Green Pale again. Put it on quickly so that it wasn't 100% dry and it smeared a bit. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'll show you all of these towards the end. So I really love the combination of Titan Green Pale and Payne's Gray. And I was seeing on the stencil that there were some areas towards the bottom that had that color combination. So I wanted to try to mimic that a little bit and overlay that on this sheet. And of course now I have a ghost. but instead of just picking up the ghost, I'm going to do more of this with the Titan Green Pale and the Payne's Gray. And I'm looking at that brayer sheet, and ooh, that's really appealing to me. So I'm still getting to print with this stencil. I'm just being careful not to put that top side down because I don't want to ruin that paint, because I'm going to definitely use that in a collage sometime soon. So that came out a little lighter. I really like what's left on the plate. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then we're going to pick it up with something. Aha. So I decide to pick it up with matte medium. This is a matte fluid medium by Liquitex. And I don't know why I decided to go over the magenta. But in the end, I absolutely loved it. But at the time, I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this was a mistake. What was I thinking? And also, as I look at that paper to the left, I'm really loving it. I don't remember if I put another layer on top of it and ruined it, but I think I did. It's a shame because it was really nice. So I left this to dry quite a bit longer, like maybe 5 minutes. I'm still loving how this looks. I'm looking at other things through it to see what that's going to need when I go to collage it. And this is actually really nice. I love the old wall nature of it, and I love how these two look together. Those dark areas where the Payne's Gray is, and it's showing and peeking through this stencil. Absolutely, these two papers need to go together. Okay, so after all, I do think I like this. The more I look at it, it got covered up and I wasn't looking at it for a while. I think I like it a lot. I wish that this blue had come across more like this. I don't know why. Probably because this was directly, more on top of the green. So a lot more of the blue, like we got more of a blue-green. But, we got it's just a little shade different, but I love how I got that double shadow on it, so I'm not unhappy about it, but at least I got one really good print, I think. This was not one of my best sessions, I think. I'm not sure, but anyway, this one, I really fought with this one a lot. It's just a little too dark. I do like the yellow, the green gold, like peeking through, but every time I try to use this bronze, I love this paint, but yeah, every time I try to use it, I'm never happy. This was a disaster. You see it has some sheen on it. I can use it for collage. There will be a piece. This piece right here I like a lot, so I will probably use a piece of this somewhere. Anyway, these are the three, they're the only three that are on rice paper. I was using my newsprint, which I love. It's not acid-free. I'm hoping that, by the time I've got it all sealed in a collage, maybe it'll be okay, because I absolutely love them. So this was my Tyvek stencil that I created at the beginning of this video, and just a happy accident. This is fabulous. But it needs to go over something. So, and this was one of the last ones I did. I picked up some grunge on the plate that was this lighter color with the matte medium. Okay. And actually, I think this looks quite nice together. Now, I really want to keep this edge here, so I might trim this down to like an 8x8, put it on an 8x8 panel, and kind of mash these two prints together because I think that's fantastic. And then I might do embellishing on top of that. I do love the little stencil that I made. And what I love about Tyvek paper are the ghosts that we get. We get these outline ghosts. And to me, they're just the most amazing thing to collage with. Let me show you something. This was from a previous session. Look at that. This was one of those papers. This actually is the piece of Tyvek that I glued down that actually made this part. And again, turned it over at one point and said, oh my goodness, I love it. I got to put this aside and not use it anymore to make sure that I don't, you know, because just the way this paint looked on here was perfect. So these are, you know, from the Tyvek, and I love, love, love those ghosts. So I wanted to do it again, and I thought I would try this idea of making a full stencil instead of just masks like this, but those are fun too. We didn't use them a lot, so I don't have a lot of paint on them. I'll use them again, and hopefully they'll get nice and covered with paint. Because the other nice thing about Tyvek paper, it's thin paper, and it makes good collage paper as well. So not only can you use it as a stencil, it's a very sturdy stencil. If you don't know what Tyvek paper is, I've bought a whole pack from a company called Jam Paper. And they're saying that it's 14 pound, and you cannot tear this. See? You cannot tear it. You can cut it with scissors, you can cut it with a knife. It's water, it says it's waterproof. And if you look at it, I don't know if you can see this on the camera. Maybe you can. It has like a little bit of a, you can see the fibers in there. Now what those fibers are, I'm not really sure. But they wrap houses with this to protect your house, make it weatherproof, I guess. I don't really know what the purpose is, but it comes in really, really large sheets. But I bought, as you can see, quite a bit because I think I'm going to use them a lot. So these papers, you know, the other thing I like too is you get this almost like fabric texture, and it's the texture from the Tyvek paper. I like this two pieces of this are going to be great for collage. This one also, even though it has that bronze, I think it's going to be a good piece. I love the combination of the Titan Green Pale and the Payne's Gray. It's pretty fabulous. Another one of these fabulous papers. Look at them. But this is my favorite. Of the papers that I did on this newsprint where I was picking up the ghost, and I picked up these other faint ghosts as well in other colors. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, give Tyvek a chance, really. You can make some very interesting abstract art with this. So whether you're going for a finished composition or bonus papers, it's a winner. Don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I will see you next time. And in the meantime, check out one of these videos.